Good evening. It's 8 o'clock in Banjul. This is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Karaba Avenue. And I am Jul Denjai. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. The funerals of the two police officers who were gunned down on Tuesday night while on duty at the Sukuta Jabang Junction were held on Friday and Saturday at their home villages of Kampasa and Kiti respectively. The Gambia Armed Forces on Friday held a passing out parade for 200 GAF recruit intake 38 after 20 weeks of basic military training. The Gambia Maritime Administration, in partnership with the National Disaster Management Agency and GWACAF, on Friday concluded 5 days maritime stakeholders training and policy development to develop a national oil spill mitigation strategy. And the National Human Rights Commission on Friday engaged National Assembly members on their human rights obligations and updated them on the implementation of the TRRC's recommendations. And in sports news, the final lineup of Africa Cup of Nations Côte d'Ivoire 2023 has been completed after the last round of matches. Those were your headlines, and now the news in detail. If you are just tuning in, this is QTV News and I am Jul Dengai. Now, the funerals of the two police officers who were gunned down on Tuesday night while on duty at the Sukuta Jabang Junction were held on Friday and Saturday at their home villages of Kampasa and Kiti respectively in the West Coast region. Momodu Gajaga attended both funerals, and this is his report.
The funeral of Police Constable Patejalo was held at his home village of Kampasa. It was attended by members of the government, security officials, and members of the public. Among the delegation was Minister of Interior Siaka Sonko, Deputy IGP Mamadou Sow, National Security Advisor Abubakar Suleiman Jeng, State House Imam Mustafa Jallo, amongst others. If your job is to protect life and property, when you die in the line of duty, you should be considered as the best amongst us. Whoever takes a weapon, attack a police or military officer, is like you've attacked the nation and you are trying to bring the government down. Mustafa Jallo, the Imam of State House, presented $100,000 from President Barrow to the family of the late Pate Jallo. If you're aiming for something for this country, let it be about peace. When you are saying something, let it be a good thing and also do good. Ibrahim Asanyang is the chief of Fonyi Jaro. The job of securities is very important in the country. The reason why we are able to pray in peace and go about our businesses is because there is security. Family members of the late Pate Jallo described him as calm, disciplined, and a hard-working young man. Mamadou Ba, the late Pate Jallo's uncle, said the family is devastated and they want justice to be served.
We know he is as calm as possible and harmless. So when this happened, it was definitely devastating. So we expect justice to be served, and then we also cooperated because we would just have love not to go through a post-mortem, but because it also involved the state and everybody is interested to know what happens, and definitely we want to go to the end of the matter to make sure justice is being served.
The burial of the second victim, Sang J. Gomez, took place today and was laid to rest at his home village of Kiti. At his wakekeeping on Friday, his uncle, Andrew Gomez, made this solemn statement.
It's really very painful. And I equally want to share this with you, that the pain is not only for the family. It is all of us here, including those that enlisted him in the army, in the police. The entire nation is mourning the demise of our gallant men in uniform.
As the country mourns our gallant men who were killed while protecting life and property, today, the blood of the dead is flowing with the tears of the nation. By the grace of God, may their souls rest in heaven. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
May the souls of the fallen military officers or police officers rest in perfect peace, and we wish their colleague Ansi Jawo a speedy recovery. Now, the Gambia Armed Forces on Friday held a passing out parade for GAF recruit intake 38. After 20 weeks of basic military training, I attended the graduation of over 200 graduates at the Fajara Barracks, and this is my report. Hundreds gathered at the Fajara Barracks parade ground for the graduation of the military personnel, including Mohamed B.S. Jallow, Vice President of the Gambia, cabinet ministers and lawmakers, among other dignitaries. The event also witnessed the inspection of the troops on parade by the Vice President and a march past. Lieutenant Colonel Abdoulaiba, Commandant of the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, congratulated the new recruits for the successful completion of the recruitment training program.
Regrettably, out of the initial cohort of 312 recruits who embarked on this challenging journey of basic military training, all could not complete this journey. Thus, 35 recruits could not complete the training. Among them, 26 recruits absconded. 8 recruits are to be medically discharged due to health concerns that prevented them from continuing on this rigorous journey.
Lieutenant General Yakuba Edrame, the Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces, says the recruitment policies are currently being reviewed to ensure they are in line with international best practice.
The review of the Gambia Armed Forces terms and conditions of services for both officers, soldiers and ratings has been completed, and once it is approved, the terms and conditions of services will make serving in the military more honorable and rewarding. Additionally, my headquarters has completed a review of the Armed Forces Act of 1985 to make it more appropriate and consistent in line with international military laws and conventions.
The Chief of Defense Staff says it is not business as usual as far as GAF is concerned. Mohamed B.S. Jallow, the Vice President of the Gambia, commended the Chief of Defense Staff for his commitment to the smooth operation of the armed forces. VP Jallow says President Barrow's government will continue to create an enabling environment for the Gambia Armed Forces and the other security services to freely conduct their operations without interference from the executive.
I am convinced that it is only through these measures that as a country we could get the best out of our men and women in uniform to execute their functions in line with their constitutional mandate under a democratic setting. It is gratifying to state that due to the existence of this relationship with the executive, the Gambia Armed Forces was able to register tremendous progress in the security sector reform process. My government is indeed comforted by the realization within the Armed Forces leadership that dealing with the contemporary security challenges facing us today as a nation require greater collaboration and cooperation among the security services.
Awards were also presented to the most outstanding recruits who manifested a high sense of commitment, discipline, determination, and skillfulness throughout the course of the training. The event ended with a display of military skills, including martial arts, skills under pressure, sentry drills, and section battle drills, amongst a host of others. For QTV News, I am Julde Njai. And now, the Gambia Maritime Administration, in partnership with the National Disaster Management Agency and GWCAF, Friday concluded 5 days maritime stakeholders training and policy development for national response strategy to oil spillage. And Sumana Esonyasi attended, and this is his report.
Following the Gambia's ratification of the Oil Pollution Preparedness Convention, OPRC 1990, in 2019, the Gambia government, through the Gambia Maritime Administration and partners, have been intensifying efforts to domesticate the instrument. Part of that national endeavor is the development of a national response plan for oil spillage disaster management and risk reduction. Hence, this convergence of stakeholders who in the past 5 days underwent training on how to apply appropriate legal instruments and plans to curb the impact of our exposure and vulnerability to petroleum products. Addressing participants at the end of the training, Agnes Gulu, GWACAF project manager, says her organization appreciates the partnership with GMA and the NDMA and urges participants to share with colleagues in their respective institutions knowledge gained during the training. She also gives assurances of their continuous support to training efforts such as this one.
This workshop has provided all of us with a renewed momentum as we progress toward the final stage of this progress. The discussion and recommendation of this week will be captured in an activity report that will be disseminated to you. This report will be also made available to IMO, IPCA on the GIWACAF website.
Usman Toure, the Deputy Managing Director of the Gambia Maritime Administration, and Malik Bah, the NDMA's Director of Technical Services, stressed the need for such training. They say there is a growing need for capacity building, especially in the sector which they describe as central to the economy and national development in general.
As we depart from this gathering, let us carry forward the spirit of collaboration, vigilance, and environmental stewardship. Together we can ensure the safety of our coastal ecosystem, protect our invaluable marine resources, and preserve the well-being of our communities and their livelihoods.
Looking at the resource constraints that we are faced with as a country, we need to have the necessary ingredients in order to implement an effective and robust national oil contingency plan. And I believe those gaps, ranging from human capital, ranging from expertise, ranging from resources, mobilizations and coordinations, are issues that will be addressed in the contingency plan.
The development and implementation of a response plan to oil spillage is essential for effective disaster management and risk reduction, as oil spills can endanger public health, imperil drinking water, devastate natural resources, and disrupt the economy. At the end of the ceremony, participants were awarded certificates and encouraged to participate in efforts to implement the response plan as and when the need arises. Answane Sonyasi for KTV News.
The report there will take us to a commercial break. When we return, we have some more local as well as international or sports news stories for you. This is you.
The future is now with QCell's 5G network. Experience speeds like never before with our new 5G Rocket Fix internet plan. Get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled devices. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyapus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
The art of juggling is a true spectacle of agility, coordination, and speed. A symbol of progression, precision, and mastery. "5G speed is like having the juggler in your pocket. With lightning-fast download and upload speeds, you'll easily be able to juggle even the busiest workdays. Whether you're a busy entrepreneur, a creative, or just someone who wants to stay connected. Juggle your tasks with ease with QCell 5G speed. The future is here. It's fast, reliable, and efficient. First brought to you by QCell. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News and I am Julde Njai. Now, the National Human Rights Commission on Friday engaged National Assembly members on human rights obligations and updated them on the implementation of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission's recommendations. Geneva Sonko has the details.
During the Jammeh-led administration, governance in the Gambia was defined by human rights abuses that include torture, degrading treatment or punishment by or on behalf of the government, harsh and life-threatening prison conditions. The Gambia's Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, TRRC, was set up to investigate and establish historical record of the nature, causes and extent of violations and abuses of human rights committed from July 1994 to January 2019, and to consider the granting of reparations of victims. The revelations at the Commission, which operated under the theme Never Again, exposed a lot of investigation and accountability for crimes. This training will expose National Assembly members to human rights obligations and update them on the implementation of the TRRC recommendations. Here is Commissioner Nyundo Drame of the National Human Rights Commission.
Ensuring there are enabling legislation in place, ensuring that people who are vulnerable, who can't speak for themselves, who don't have a vote and therefore don't have a voice, the most vulnerable members of society, our children, are protected.
This year marks the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, an important instrument which affirms the equality and dignity of every human being and stipulates that every government has a core duty to create an environment where people enjoy their inalienable rights and freedoms. It took 3 years of deliberations before an agreed text was adopted by the United Nations on 10 December 1948. On behalf of the UN Resident Coordinator, Dr. Desta Turune, reminded the NAMs of their responsibility to ensure all Gambians realize and enjoy the tenets of freedom, justice, and peace.
This workshop is also an opportunity to strengthen your capacity towards advancing human rights in other areas such as promoting gender equality, protecting the rights of the vulnerable groups, to ensure no one is left behind.
National Assembly members carry the greatest responsibility to ensure that the rule of law prevails and human rights are protected and social goods and services are delivered by leveraging on the powers they have. Here is the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, CDSK Njai.
The National Assembly could contribute immensely to ensure that legislative reforms as recommended by the TRRC are considered for ratification and enactment. In addition, honorable members would be enlightened about the international human rights norms and standards which could help the House to address human rights violations.
A debate to repeal the law banning FGM following a motion to do so at the National Assembly. Although only 10 NAMs spoke in favor of the repeal, another 16 wanted to do so. But for the time constraints, the National Human Rights Commission issued a press release condemning NAMs who want the law to be repealed. The practice of FGM is recognized internationally as a violation of human rights of girls and women. Here is Saibu Ture, the NAM for Woolly East explains.
So what is good for the health of our people is what we should protect. Not protect something because it has been... Culture is not religion. Culture is something that you are, olden days they start something, and if you discover that something is not good, you can change.
According to the government white paper in response to the TRRC, the government intends to create a special judicial framework within our domestic court system for the prosecution of perpetrators of human rights abuses and violations, a development that is widely anticipated by the public. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jena Basonko.
Now, the Gambia Immigration Department opened a new office station at Abuko on Friday to ensure access and effective service delivery to citizens. Lena Igwenyiba tells us more.
In a significant move to boost service accessibility and efficiency, the Gambia Immigration Department, GID, has officially inaugurated its new office in Abuko. This initiative aims to create an optimal working environment for immigration officers while bringing essential services closer to the communities they serve. Suleiman Kujabi, the Immigration Commissioner for the Kanifing Municipal Council, shed light on the new facility's features, emphasizing its role in fostering effective service delivery.
It is worthy to note that this project is fully funded by government through budgetary allocation of Gambia Immigration Department. This structure has 6 offices, 4 washrooms, and a detention center. However, we wouldn't have this magnificent complex here in the heart of the community without the support of the Abuko community. It is through the Village Development Community, VDC, GID was able to acquire this land on which this structure was built.
Ibrahim Mboub, Commissioner for Administration at GID, represented the Director General of Immigration and assured that the new facility would fulfill its intended purpose seamlessly.
I therefore assure that this new facility will be well used and maintained, not for only official purposes, but also serve as a symbol of friendship and collaboration between the Gambia Immigration Department and wonderful partners.
Keba Dabo, Principal Assistant Secretary at the Ministry of Interior, praised this achievement as a significant milestone for his ministry.
This station and another one in Wasu, CRR North, is entirely funded by Government of the Gambia through the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. The Ministry of Interior, for the Ministry of Interior, this is an important milestone to enable the Gambia Immigration Department to expand its services, which requires establishment of immigration stations throughout the country. Therefore, I commend His Excellency the President, Adama Barrow, and his leadership for giving such opportunity to improve our service delivery.
This project, in line with Goal 8 of GID's Strategic Plan 2019 to 2024, focuses on constructing and renovating immigration offices. The Abuko station will cater to the needs of Abuko and its surrounding areas, offering essential identification and documentation services, among others. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena Igwenyuba.
That report there takes us to some sports news stories. The final lineup of Africa Cup of Nations Côte d'Ivoire 2023 has been completed after the last round of matches. Gambia rewrites history by returning to Africa's biggest football showpiece for the second time in a row. QTV sports reporter Momodu Gajaga takes a look.
There are no debutants in the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations after Gambia qualified for the second time in succession after drawing 2-2 against Congo on Sunday. The 24 teams are now complete, with previous AFCON host and 5-time winners of this competition, Cameroon, completing the round of matches with a win against Burundi. Namibia secured the last spot in the qualifiers. In the last round of qualifiers, Gambia needed to avoid defeat against Congo to be assured of qualification. But they had to do it the hard way after going 2-0 down in the first half, but they dug deep to score twice in the last 10 minutes to go through. Holders Senegal, as well as continental giants Egypt, Nigeria, Ghana, Algeria and Morocco have all reserved their spots. South Africa made a comeback after failing to qualify for the last AFCON. Angola, who finished 3 points behind Ghana, also returned. Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde have qualified for their third AFCON in a row. Equatorial Guinea, the 2015 AFCON host, have also booked their ticket. The 24 nations will know their group after a subsequent draw to be held in Abidjan on the 12th of October, where they will be drawn in 6 groups of 4 teams each. Côte d'Ivoire will host the Africa Cup of Nations 2023. The event, however, will begin in January 2024. Despite the fact that continental giants such as champion Senegal, record winners Egypt, World Cup semi-finalist Morocco and 4-time winners Nigeria are considered as favorites, the competition is likely to be fierce due to the continent's wealth of talent. On Friday, the president of CAF, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, congratulated the 24 teams and said the quality of the national teams that have qualified is a clear indication that we will hold the most successful AFCON in the history of the competition. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
Congratulations to the Scorpions there. But before we end, here is a recap of the news headlines. The funerals of the 2 police officers who were gunned down on Tuesday night while on duty at the Sukuta Jabang Junction were held on Friday and Saturday at their home villages of Kampasa and Kiti respectively. The Gambia Armed Forces on Friday held a passing out parade for 200 GAF recruit intake 38 after 20 weeks of basic military training. The Gambia Maritime Administration, in partnership with National Disaster Management Agency and GWACAF, Friday concluded 5 days maritime stakeholders training and policy development to develop a national oil spill mitigation strategy. And the National Human Rights Commission on Friday engaged National Assembly members on human rights obligations and updated them on the implementation of the TRRC recommendations. In sports news, the final lineup of Africa Cup of Nations Côte d'Ivoire 2023 has been completed after the last round of matches. That's all we have for you in this bulletin of the news. Do join us tomorrow for the news in review with Ade Darame. Many thanks indeed for the pleasure of your company. Do have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.